story time about how shit just doesn't always go smoothly, and how even as someone who literally my job, or a solid part of my job, is coaching women on mindset and nervous system regulation and boundaries, and really the main one that I'm getting at here is staying regulated. Well, I'm human, and when I say I got triggered yesterday, so what happened is, so I'm traveling in this thing by myself right now. My fiancé was supposed to be with me today, but what happened is we went to sell his car yesterday because we can't pull it behind this. There's no reason for us both to have our cars at this point. So mine will fit into my garage, which is my storage shed while the house is rented. And so we were going to sell his and then buy a dual sport motorcycle. Well, that's still happening, but there was a hiccup in his title and being able to, like, Carmax, when he went the other day, just didn't do due diligence. Whatever, something happened, and they didn't realize that it was going to be a process, like a multi-day process. So we tried to do it on the day before we left. When I say I got triggered, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what was underneath it, other than I think at least part of it was, right, like your ego can get triggered by a lot of different things. And it either wants to be right, it wants to be in control, it wants safety. There's two more, I'm forgetting them because I'm getting like calls that I'm having to ignore right now. Anyways, for this particular one, okay, there was probably some ego wanting to be in control, but safety was also a thing. My house is already rented. It's Arizona, it's well over 100 degrees. The only option that we would have as far as somewhere to stay, because our Airbnb only ran through like the day before we were leaving, and then we were going to crash with my sister-in-law that night and then leave. And I was kind of over having to pay for Airbnbs when I had a place. We have this, like, we were supposed to be on the road, and like things just kept getting it backed up, and it was finally like, it's ready, we can take off. And then it was like the straw that broke the camel's back scenario, where I was like, there's no way, like, we can't have another thing happening. I had stayed relatively regulated, honestly, through all of the hiccups, everything that was wrong with this bus, which who knows, maybe I'll do another video on. And this was just like the thing that set me off. And I was like, we don't have a place to stay, not one that's safe and viable. There was a decent amount of that ego trying to be in control, and like there had been so much outside of my control that I had let slide, and this was just kind of like enough was enough in my system. Like, when I say that I blew up at the Carmax dude, like, yelling and being obstinate in the middle of Carmax to this poor guy that's just trying to do his job. And my fiance is just trying to stay like level, because he can see, like, if he gets emotional at all, like, I'm gonna blow up. So yeah, it took me hours to calm down. Like, y'all, I teach tools for this. So all of this to say, like, if you are struggling, it is okay. You are human. And yeah, nervous system regulation tools are amazing. And at the same time, like, triggers are our teachers. They are going to still happen. You're going to be like, I see it as, I was being asked to trust, and I did it. In the moment, I did not trust that it was all going to work out. Like, it's fine. I get a couple days solo. I really like solo time. I get to make my own schedule. It ended up, like, I realized that if he wasn't with me and I needed to find like an extra day so that he could play catch up on the motorcycle, I could do Zion. I've never done Zion. It's on the way. Like, things that, like, why hadn't I even thought of that, right? Like, so not only did the universe, like, did this open up opportunities on, like, okay, it doesn't look exactly like what I thought, but also when I had this first idea, like, I didn't even have a partner. So, like, what's so wrong with me doing this solo for a little bit? Him crashing with friends, getting the motorcycle, and catching up to me. Like, there's so many wins, and it was simply an opportunity to trust and let go and surrender, and I didn't. And I still got that lesson eventually, I just made it harder on myself than I really needed it to be in real time. Versus if I had taken a second, if I'd realized the trigger, right? Like the first step is recognition. And then if I had taken a second to step away and just utilize my tools, right? Whether it's just simply a psychological sigh, which is a breathing technique, or EFT tapping, or like there's so much that I could have done if I had recognized, like there's a part of me at this point, I recognized it, but I also kind of didn't care, right? Like I was just so done that I needed, there's a part of me that needed the release of just being whiny, fussy. Like I just needed that release for a little bit, and unfortunately I did it in a public place versus going outside and like sitting in my car and screaming or something, right? But I share this to share that we are all human and it is okay, and the best thing is just to keep trying and recognize where the triggers are trying to teach you something and where you can surrender and let go a little bit more. Thanks, y'all.